everybody. Welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. And I am so glad to see that all of you that tuned in have survived the storm. Wow, what a crazy storm. I mean, our wind gauge, we have a little weather station at our house, and our little wind gauge went up to like the high was 69 miles an hour. And there was places that were way higher than that. But I mean, for us, that was like, you could hear stuff on the outside of the house blowing, and wind chimes, I had to bring them in. And in Montana, most of us, like early on, because you don't want to dig snow around, anything that's in your yard. I've learned this the hard way. So you take everything. I mean, you pick up any kind of lawn decorations, everything, and you put them in the barn and you leave them until spring. You don't have a chair out. You don't have a barbecue, nothing. You just make it as easy as possible to shovel the shit out of there. So anyway, we're going to have a friend of mine come on. He's actually not just like my friend who pretends to do weather. He's actually a weatherman. He's a meteorologist, and he worked in Portland, Oregon at KOIN for many years. And I know him and his family, and he now lives here in Montana because, like a lot of us, he saw the light, and and so he lives up in Polson. But Brian's going to come on. He does this all the time, so he can tell you how to get a hold, find his website, because he does weather for Oregon, Washington, Montana. Keeps us informed. So he's going to kind of run through what happened and what's coming. Let me get my sponsor here. Family Dentistry in Eugene. He's a great guy. If you believe in freedom of speech, freedom to do whatever you want, he's your guy. And he doesn't do too much. What I like about Michael is, I still go to him. I go every 6 months. I'm back in Oregon, and I still wait to go to him. If you need crowns done, I've had one. He's the best. But he also, they don't do too much. You know what I mean? He'll go, yeah, you have a filling there, and you need to wash it, but we don't need to do anything until something happens. And I like that. It's not some guy going in there charging you $1,000 to do stuff to your teeth that don't need to be done right now. So anyway, let's bring Brian on. I want to talk about weather. So Brian, what the hell was that all about?
That was impressive, is what that was, Rick. I got to say, the forecast models did an amazing spot-on job with forecasting when the winds would hit, when they'd be at their peak, and also the highest peak gusts. The only thing they didn't do too well, Timberline Lodge, up above Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood there, at that 7,000 foot level at about 2 o'clock this morning, had a peak gust of 138 miles per hour. I don't think I saw that on any forecast model, but
so I'm guessing they didn't have the chairlift open at that time.
No, I think that chairlift was sideways at that point. But what an amazing storm! And it's amazing, Rick. I'll tell you this: back to the weekend, I was watching this storm for Wednesday, and we knew, because back in October. So I have several friends that plow for a living, and they'll reach out to me like September, October. Hey, what are you thinking for the winter? And I remember telling them in October, I said, this is going to be the winter of a lot of wild swings, so be prepared.
How can you tell that? I mean, as a weatherman,
So a couple of things. I don't typically get too deep into what we call basically the elements of prolonged winter forecast. What I mean by that is the Old Farmer's Almanac. That's not me. I look more at, I go, okay, this winter, when I look at what are called the sea surface temperatures down near the equator, this is similar, La Nina, El Nino, or just a neutral winter, as we call it. This is similar. I'm seeing a lot of similarities to what happened on this winter. So you analog, you go, okay, well, that winter was like this. And I remember back in September, October looking, and I go, this winter, the sea surface temperatures affect a lot of what happens up here, a lot. And it's hard I could get really deep into it, but I'm not going to bore everybody with the details. But I'll tell you this, when we typically see a La Nina, or what's called a neutral winter down in the near the equator in the Pacific, that's when you typically see your more wild winters up here. And I could tell early on, I said, we're going to be either neutral, what's called basically the ocean temperatures are about where they should be, or slightly cooler. A lot of times those are the winters where we see some just crazy swings. And already, I mean, you think back to 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we had snow. And then we went from snow and the cold to the flooding. And of course, our poor neighbors up in Libby dealing with that. And then, of course, all of our friends and neighbors up in northern Washington dealing with their flooding. So we went to that.
They're having it
And
really bad, aren't they, in Washington
oh,
State?
it's really bad. Yeah. And it's and the sad part is we're not done yet. We've got some more swings. In fact, I guess it's a good news, bad news situation in the sense that we're getting more rain for Oregon and Washington, but here in Montana, we're swinging back to the cold side of things. Not terribly cold though. Remember a couple of weeks ago, we had that Arctic front come through, and all of a sudden it was full on winter. We were in the deep freeze for a week. We're not going that far back, but we're going to be kind of in the middle for the next week or so. So if you want to get us over to that map that I sent you.
You guys, I'm being really professional here. Here's how I'm doing it, because Brian fixed this all up, and I am going to put it on here, and then I'm going to try to keep this thing going like you want. Okay, so Brian, go ahead.
Okay, so go ahead and start taking us through. Take us through until, let me see, keep going. I'm watching really close because I'm doing this from my phone in my truck. Okay, pause it right there. So that, you see all of that red and orange and yellow coming onto the Oregon and Washington coast tomorrow. That is all heavy rain that's coming in to Northwest Oregon, and for that matter, the entire Western Oregon tomorrow. We've got another very strong cold front coming on. Now, a couple things different about this cold front, Rick, is that you notice the bullseye of the moisture on this is much further south. It's not up in Washington this time. This time it's going to be Portland, south to Eugene. I know we got a lot of listeners and viewers down there, and this is going to be a very heavy rain event. If you want to walk this through about the next 12 hours, and we're going to see that rain, heavy rain at times, continue all the way into early Friday. Therefore, the National Weather Service has issued a flood watch for the Western Oregon, for much of Western Oregon because of this. And that's mainly because we're going to see a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. Now, I always put the caveat on this because, Rick, you being in the news business, me being in the news business, I always like to go, okay, what are we talking about? If we were to see those kind of rain totals going on for 2-3 days, I'd be really concerned. We'd be talking about a lot of flooding. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a rapid rise in streams and creeks and rivers, and then they'll come back down. What the other thing is, you notice, is up to the north, you see all that blue. That's some colder air that's trying to infiltrate in, and that colder air is going to hit parts of western Montana, and even for that matter, east of the divide where you are, Rick. We're going to be oscillating the next couple of days between snow to rain, back to snow. It's going to be kind of doing that waffling because it's all where the jet sets up. Right now, Oregon and Washington, you're going to stay in the liquid form of precip in the valleys, and for tomorrow, because that's a warmer storm, it'll be even very high snow levels in the Cascades. As we turn the corner into Christmas week, we're going to see some cooler temperatures move in for both Montana and Oregon and Washington. It looks like the snow levels, though, stay above the valley floors in Oregon and Washington. However, western Montana into eastern Montana, we're going to see periods of snow at times. It's very possible we are dealing with at least snow in the air around Christmas Day into Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. But the big story the next 24 hours, Rick, the wind's starting to subside, and then we see that heavy rain start to move in as we go into, for Oregon and Washington, as we go into tomorrow and later Friday. And later tomorrow into Friday. So it's going to be a doozy of a couple 24, 36 hours, especially for our friends and neighbors in Oregon, especially down the valley. It's going to be quite wet.
Yeah, guess where we're going for Christmas? Portland. We looked at the forecast and it's like all rain, and you don't get, back in Oregon, when it says 85% rain, it means 85% rain.
Yeah.
In Montana, it means it may rain half an inch, but there's 85% of a chance that it will rain a half an inch.
I got to tell you this story. So I think it was in March, I helped move my brother-in-law and his wife from Eugene up here to Montana. And so we all drove out, my father-in-law, my father-in-law, Mark, and all of us drove down Friday, and we got and then Saturday we loaded the U-Haul. Sunday we're driving out, and it was during this rainstorm so we get on I-5 to head out of Eugene to come north. And I look over, and this farmer's fields to my right, completely flooded over with rain. And I just remember thinking, that's right, this is Oregon. It's been 11 years. It's been 11 years since I've been there, since I've lived there, but that's Oregon. And they're used to it. But at the same time, quite a bit of rain coming the next 24 to 36 hours for our viewers in Oregon. And then we start to see the moisture move east tomorrow night late. So Montana, Thursday late into early Friday, we could see some snow. And then we start to see a brief bump in temperatures before those temperatures come back down for the weekend. Going to be near seasonal norms this time of the year. Not talking about any Arctic Express arriving. But I'll tell you this much. When we saw 138-mile-per-hour gust at Timberline last night, and I know you saw a gust near 70. I saw a gust near 65. It was certainly a doozy of a storm. But also, before I go, Rick, let's give a big shout out to all those utility crews and first responders, because so many of these first responders, as you well know, are in these small towns. They're all volunteers. They're all guys and gals like you and me that have jobs that literally get pulled off their day jobs to go help rescue people in these situations.
Yeah, I know Livingston, Montana's without power tonight. Big Timber, they had 95-mile-an-hour winds in Big Timber, which is just outside of Livingston. Missoula had a school that lost the roof. I mean, they didn't lose it. It just, they know where it went.
It peeled back, yeah.
But it's not where it was supposed to be. So I'm just going to guess that school was probably canceled. And I know a lot of around here, like a lot of the schools were closing down early because the storm was supposed to get worse. So, so in terms of wind, we'll have a little bit more tonight. Tomorrow it's not supposed to be as windy for most places, but the rain is going to plague Oregon and Washington for a couple more days.
Yep. So another system, and that system will come into Montana just to a lesser extent. And the way I described it earlier on my weather page, Rick, was we were ramping up pretty fast this morning. Kind of like I likened it to taking off in an aircraft. You're ramping up pretty fast, but then when you're coming in for the landing, you don't go from 40,000 feet to zero in a minute or two. You're going at a slow descent. And that was the way I likened the winds, is we're seeing the slow descent back to near normal for this time of the year, which it's always windy in Montana, but this was abnormal. The other thing of interest of note is just last week was the 30th anniversary of the great windstorm of 95 out in Oregon. And you were in TV news at that point, I know. And that was a doozy of a windstorm then. I couldn't help but notice the timing. I was like, oh, 30 days or 30 years and a few days later, here we are again.
It comes back. Okay, so one last question weather-wise.
Yeah.
White Christmas in what places? Will any of us experience that, or you're going to have to go to the mountains in Oregon? It's going to be a wet Christmas in most of Oregon?
Right now, it looks like mountains in Oregon. Yes, it'll be a white Christmas. It's going to take a bit. I do think we will see a trend to cooler. A week ago, it was showing even valleys, like snow in the air for the valleys of Western Oregon, Western Montana, or Western Washington. It's backed off of that a little bit. I always am a big believer in trends. So it was trending that way for several days. I'm going to be curious to see if the maps come back around to that. But I will say that Western Montana, and where you're at there east of the divide, there's going to be bands of precip rotating through next week. That snow in the air, definitely a possibility. Whether or not we actually have snow accumulated on the ground, there's a big if right now. But regardless, it will be a beautiful Christmas because it's Christmas time after all. So I'll continue to keep people updated. They can always head over to my weather page, Brian Miskimins Weather. I've got continuous updates over there. And it's been, I'm on hour 12, no, 13, 14, I think I'm closing on hour 15 of coverage for the day.
Well, I'm glad I got you. I thought I got to see if I can get Brian on tonight.
Yeah.
People will be interested. Hey, Brian, thank you again. You guys, his name's right there. And all you got to do is look him up, and he has a weather channel, and you can go on there and find out. And he keeps people up to date, because he and I are both the same in the way that he does a lot of Montana stuff, but we can't get away from Oregon because that's where we were. So we're going to that's our roots. And I will say, all you got to do is take my name and then add weather at the end, and then you'll find the page. It's just a page you follow, just like any other page on Facebook. All right, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rick. Hey, safe travels to you.
Merry Christmas, and tell your wife and all the kids, and give Mark and Peggy a big hug too.
I will. Merry Christmas, Rick.
All right, see you later. Bye-bye, man. So there you go. So yeah, Brian, you should check out his page because he does weather all the time. He's also a radio DJ over there, does sales, and small radio stations. You do everything. So he's selling ads. He's reporting the news. He's doing doing the weather and all that kind of stuff. But you just don't get out of the business all that way. That's why I still do what I do, because it's fun and it's interesting. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about besides weather tonight is, did you guys see today where the state auditor I should get this copy up, but the state auditor did an audit, and on Measure 110. Now, if you guys don't remember what Measure 110 was, that was when Oregon was stupid enough to legalize drugs in Oregon, hard drugs, every drug. So the whole idea was, oh, we'll legalize these drugs and then get people, not make people have to go to jail, and instead give them the option of getting counseling. And everybody figured a way around the system, and so it didn't work. And the auditor has a really horrible report about this, but you can go on my Facebook page and you can pull it up, and it's right there what Republicans are saying about that right now. It's pretty interesting, and I think most people in Oregon are either embarrassed because they did vote for it or wonder why they voted for it. I know when I moved to Montana, the first things, I'm being 100% serious, when people found out I was from Oregon, 90% of them would ask, pull me aside, and then whisper, did you guys really legalize drugs in Oregon? And I'd say, yeah. And they're like, why? I said, I have no idea. And of course, the non-funny side of it is nice. We laugh because it's so stupid and it's so Oregon. But the non-funny side is we also have one of the worst drug problems in the country with fentanyl and cocaine and all kinds of drugs. And Oregon is a mess because we got sold a bill of goods. It was a lie. It didn't work. And now the state auditor has said it cost Oregonians a lot of money. What does that tell me? It tells me that you and I need to be very careful when we're voting for things. Do you guys know right now you have a measure, and I don't have the name because I'm going to actually do a podcast in a couple of weeks on this, but there is a petition going around some group of nuts, and it would stop all breeding of animals, killing of animals. I mean, I'm talking cattle. I'm talking no more hunting. I think breeding animals, even dogs and cats, would be and we're going to find out more. I don't want to just, this is my what I think I remember, but it's very drastic, and it's going to completely ruin Oregon. And they've almost got enough signatures to get it on the ballot. That's how stupid it is. And these people come to Oregon because they know people in Oregon are more liberal. And they try these weird things like no hunting, no killing of animals. What would you do? What happens? Where do you get your meat? Well, here's the problem. You're still going to, this is the virtue signaling that drives me absolutely crazy. So now people, so let's say this thing gets on the ballot and it passes. So then people can go, oh, well, guess what? We don't kill cows here. You're still eating beef. So you're getting it from Montana or some other state. It's still being killed. So your value, your virtue, your this virtue you have that's so important, you're still eating it. It's just like recycling. It was going to China. Then everybody figured it out, and it became kind of a joke. But you want to stop no more coal production through our state. Our electric cars. We want to have electric cars because they're more, environmentally sensitive. Well, how do they charge those? With electricity. How do they make electricity? Coal and dams, the other things you're trying to stop. So if you stop coal and dams, then you have no electricity, and then you have no damn car. So God, you got to start thinking, but this thing is getting traction. And so after the first of the year, I've been talking to some of the people involved with it, and they'll come on and explain exactly what it is and how it works, because Oregonians, you've got to get rid of it. It's P728 or something like that. But again, just stay with us and we'll get you to that point, and we'll figure it all out. So now on Monday, we had Christine Drazen, Republican, one of the Republican candidates running for governor in Oregon. She was going to be on Thursday. I'm actually going to be over in Missoula tomorrow shooting some videos on a really cool topic. It's a company out of Oregon, and they have these big machines they put on the back of tractors, and I'll have more tomorrow because I'm going to go shoot it tomorrow with them. And they grind up rocks in fields. Now, I don't know how big a problem that is in Oregon. I have a feeling it is, but here in Montana, it's huge. Every farm has a big pile of rocks on the edge of their fields because these rocks are out there. So they're out here doing work with people. And this is a historic family farm with a really interesting story. So I'm going to go shoot a story on that and then shoot some video that I can show you guys on how this machine grinds up to a 12-inch rock. I mean, pulverizes it into the soil. And so they're revolutionizing the way farmers can, taking a lot of wasted effort and just grinding it up. And so I'm going to get up at, the crack of dawn, drive 3 hours to Victor, Montana, and I'm going to get to meet this family, work with some people from Oregon, and nice little paycheck and doing all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to bring it back and show you guys how this all works, because I love stuff like that when people are innovative and new. What else did I tell you? Oh, I do have a private site. It's called my Patron Club, and it's on a website called NAS. And I will put the link in here. Let me do this for you. I'm a professional. I can do this. Watch this. So I'm going to put this in here, and you don't have to do this. I post on everything, but this is a way that if you want, I do post more personal things on here. And if it was something, if you want to, kind of get more involved and see more of the personal things that we're doing, then you feel free to join. It's like, what is it? $12 a month. So it's pretty cheap. And there we go. I'm going to post this in there. So that's how you go. You can link onto that, go in, just sign up, and they'll just charge you every month. And it's just to support what Kathy and I are doing with our media and our projects and kind of the things we're doing. So it's not to pay the bills. It's just a little extra. And if you feel like that's something you're supposed to do, then do it. If you don't. We're fine. So again, and then over Christmas, I will be still posting things, but I'm coming back to Portland to be with my kid and grandkid. Both my sons are coming, Kathy and me. We'll have Grace there, the wife of Jake, and Nico, my grandson. So we're going to have Christmas together. So I'll be flying in there next week, and then back the following week. But since it's holidays, we kind of cut back on what we're doing, because you guys cut back on what you're doing, which is good. You shouldn't be on social media as much. You should be spending time with your family, a lot more time with your family. We'll be doing daily blogs still and all that kind of stuff. So keeping you up to date with that stuff. But everybody kind of takes a break around the holidays. I've done this for 20 years, plus my 30 years in the news. And ashamed of the low intelligence here. Blue Star, you know what? I grew up in Hillsboro near Portland. My wife and I spent a lot of time growing up in Portland. Every time I go back, it's just, I feel bad. Matt, are you my neighbor? Oh, Matt, how you doing, man? It's my neighbor. But every time we go back, I just feel bad for the state. But I have hope. I think things are going to change. I think Oregon is going to come back. But, for now, we're Montanans now, and we love it here. It's a great place, although medical care is tough. Okay, I'll tell you guys a quick story. My wife's been having some stomach issues, and I don't know if it's a twisted intestine or something. We don't know, but she hasn't been able to eat solid food for a while. So she went in and gave a sample, and they're supposed to send this. So here, you can't just go to Portland and get it done, or go to Eugene and get it done. She has to go in and have this sample done, and then they send it 2 hours away to Billings, and then they test it and get your results back. So it's been a week, and Kathy hasn't been able to eat a lot of solid food, and she's miserable, and this hurts. So they notify us today that they lost the sample. They threw it away. They didn't test it. So the people have been very nice, and the hospital's going to recoup the money, and they said they'd do a free one for them. But the point is, it's like, what? And healthcare sucks anyway. And I go to the doctor as little as possible. But I mean, that you throw the sample away instead of testing it. And that's one of the things about living in a state like Montana, where you only have a few big cities. Billings is the only city in the entire state that can do this testing. So you have to depend on them. And that's a very frustrating thing. I know, Katie, it's so lame. And my wife is just like in pain. And she's like, so we finally got some medicine. They're trying to see if it's going to work, because Christmas is coming. You don't want to be sitting there with health problems. Hope she gets better soon, Rick. Healthcare services are not good, especially for elderly. Well, wait a minute. We're not elderly. Hard to find good help. You're not kidding. You're not kidding, Matt. But as I said, the people at the clinic, at the main clinic, they've called and they've been, I've bitched. I called up and told them this is, I'm not afraid to do that. You know what I mean? You call up and say, what the hell are you people doing? You throw away a sample? I mean, and they're embarrassed, because obviously it was a mistake, but they're not paying for it. My wife is. So that's the hard part. So anyway, okay. So we will be here on Monday with more of this. I will try to send you some pictures tomorrow. I'll be posting online some of the things from the what we're doing with this farmer and the field and that kind of stuff. And then we'll have some stories after the first of the year that you can see too. So, well, it's good seeing you guys. I hope you stay healthy and stay, protect yourself. And I'll wish you a Merry Christmas next week. But anyway, it's good having you on here. My mom had symptoms, was diagnosed with a tumor on her pancreas, pressing on her intestines. I'd insist on an MRI. Oh, that's a good idea, Blue Star. Yeah, we'll see how this works. That's a very good idea. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you. Have a good evening and a good weekend. And we'll be back on Monday with Christine Drazen, running for governor of Oregon.